I spent 20 minutes last week trying to connect my phone to the Wi-Fi at my sister's house. She'd changed the password to something involving her cat's middle name, which apparently her cat has. And I'm standing there in her kitchen holding my phone up like a divining rod watching it search for a signal. And in that moment of pure technological frustration, I had zero thoughts about where this invisible connection even came from. None. I was just mad at the cat. The woman responsible for the technology I was cursing at would become known as Hedy Lamarr, but in 1919 she was 5 years old, sitting on the floor of a wealthy Viennese apartment, pulling apart her music box, not to break it, to understand how it worked. Then she put it back together. Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler's father, a bank director, used to take her on long walks through Vienna, explaining how streetcars and printing presses functioned. By the time she was 10, she could play piano, dance, and speak 4 languages. She'd been privately tutored since age 4. At 16, she enrolled in Max Reinhardt's dramatic school in Berlin. Within a year, she had made her first film. She was not building toward Hollywood, she was building toward everything. Before this video is over, you'll find out how a woman the world called the most beautiful actress alive co-invented technology worth $30 billion. Why the United States government took her patent and told her to go sell kisses instead. And the one moment near the end of her life when she finally heard the words she'd been waiting 50 years for. If you leave now, you get a remarkable woman. Cool. Stay. And you get the whole story. At 18, she filmed a movie called Ecstasy for director Gustav Makati. It became one of the most controversial films in Europe because it contained nudity and a scene simulating an orgasm. Pope Pius XI personally denounced it in the Vatican newspaper after a journalist screened it at the Venice Film Festival. No Italian distributor would touch it. In 1933, she married Friedrich Mandl. He was an Austrian industrialist known as the King of Ammunition, running the Hurtenberger Munitions Company. He was also a prominent fascist. Mandl spent $280,000, nearly $7 million in today's money, trying to buy and destroy every print of Ecstasy. He failed. Lamarr later described the marriage this way. He was the absolute monarch in his marriage. I was like a doll. I was like a thing, some object of art which had to be guarded and imprisoned. Having no mind, no life of its own. Mandl hosted dinners attended by arms dealers and military officials. Lamarr sat at those tables. She listened. She absorbed conversations about weapon systems, torpedo guidance, signal jamming. She wasn't invited to contribute, so she collected information the way her father had taught her, with open eyes and a quiet mouth. After 2 failed escape attempts, she succeeded in late summer of 1937. One account says she disguised herself as her maid. Another says she convinced Mandl to let her wear all of her jewelry to a dinner party, and then simply vanished. Either way, she got out. She met Louis B. Mayer, head of MGM, in London. He offered her $125 a week. She turned him down, then booked herself onto the same ship bound for New York. By the time they docked, she'd negotiated a $500 a week contract. Mayer promoted her as the most beautiful woman in the world. According to one viewer of her Hollywood debut in Algiers opposite Charles Boyer, when her face first appeared on screen, everyone gasped. Her beauty literally took one's breath away. Her face inspired Walt Disney's Snow White. It inspired DC Comics' Catwoman. MGM built campaigns around her looks, her glamour, her exoticism. She once said, "Any girl can be glamorous. All you have to do is stand still and look stupid." Meanwhile, she was sketching aircraft wing designs for Howard Hughes, combining the fins of the fastest fish with the wings of the fastest bird. When she showed him, Hughes told her, "You're a genius." She also designed an improved traffic stoplight and, get this, a tablet that dissolved in water to make a carbonated drink. Entirely self-taught. Every invention done in her spare time between films. By 1949, she was starring in Samson and Delilah, the most commercially successful film of that year. MGM had no idea what else she was working on. Her son, Anthony Loder, put it simply, she was such a creative person. Non-stop solution finding. If you talked about a problem, she had a solution. Here is where I want to slow down for a second, because what comes next tends to get flattened into a fun fact. It was not a fun fact. When I came across this part of her story in the research, I had to set it down, reset, and come back to it. It started with dead children. On September 17, 1940, a German U-boat torpedoed the SS city of Benares. The ship was carrying 90 evacuee children from Britain to Canada. Organized under the Children's Overseas Reception Board, a British government program meant to keep kids safe from the Blitz. Most of them died. Lamarr read about it and could not let it go. Allied torpedoes kept missing their targets because the Germans could jam the radio signals guiding them. The problem was single-frequency communication. If the enemy found the frequency, they could block it. Simple. Lamarr met George Antheil at a dinner party in 1940. Antheil was an avant-garde composer who had once scored a piece called Ballet Mécanique, using synchronized player pianos. He was exactly the kind of strange mind she needed. Together, they designed a system where a radio signal would hop rapidly among 88 different frequencies, matching the 88 keys on a piano keyboard. The transmitter and receiver would share an identical code, synchronized by a mechanism borrowed from player piano rolls. An enemy would have to jam all 88 frequencies simultaneously, which required more power than any system of that era could produce. The signal was, for practical purposes, unjammable. This concept, frequency hopping spread spectrum, is one branch of a broader family of technologies called spread spectrum communications, all of which scatter a signal across multiple frequencies rather than locking it to one. On June 10, 1941, they filed a patent. The technical refinements were reviewed by the National Inventors Council, the government body that evaluated civilian wartime inventions. On August 11, 1942, they received United States Patent Number 2,292,387. They donated it to the military. If you're finding this channel for the first time and this story is hitting the way I hoped it would, her untold story is here every week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The Navy said no. Their official opinion was that Lamarr could do more for the war effort by selling kisses to support war bonds. They classified the design as top secret and seized her patent, labeling her an alien with ties to a foreign adversarial power. This was the Austrian Jewish woman who had escaped a fascist arms dealer. But sure, so she sold kisses. At rallies across the country, she'd promise a kiss to a sailor, chosen randomly from the audience, if enough people bought bonds. The sailor was the same man at every single event. It was staged. She raised $25 million in war bonds during one fundraising period alone. That's roughly $343 million in today's money. The patent expired in 1959. George Antheil died that same year. 3 years later, in 1962, a version of frequency hopping technology appeared in military systems during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Lamarr and Antheil received nothing. Decades passed. The technology they had sketched on a player piano roll concept evolved into spread spectrum communications. Engineers developed related approaches, including direct sequence spread spectrum, which became the backbone of later wireless standards. When the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers ratified the 802.11 standard in 1997, the original version used frequency hopping spread spectrum in the 2.4 gigahertz band. That standard became Wi-Fi. The same principles now live inside Bluetooth, GPS, and secure military communications. The frequency hopping concept alone has been estimated to be worth $30 billion. In 1997, the Electronic Frontier Foundation gave Lamarr and Antheil their Pioneer Award. Lamarr was 82, she didn't attend, her son accepted on her behalf. And she played a recorded message saying she was glad the invention was not done in vain. When a Forbes interviewer asked her about inventing back in 1990, she said, "I was different. I guess maybe I came from a different planet. Who knows, but whatever it is, inventions are easy for me to do." In 1974, she sued Warner Brothers for $10 million because Mel Brooks used a character named Hedy Lamarr in Blazing Saddles. Brooks said he was flattered. The studio settled out of court for an undisclosed nominal sum and an apology for, quote, almost using her name. She was posthumously inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2014, 14 years after she died alone in her home in Castleberry, Florida, on January 19, 2000 from heart disease. She was 85. George Antheil once wrote about her, "The Hedy whom we know is not the Hedy you know. You know something which the MGM publicity department has in all its cunning dreamed up. There is no such Hedy. Hedy is very, very bright." So I eventually got on to my sister's Wi-Fi. The cat's middle name was Francesca, which I should have guessed because my sister is exactly that kind of person. I typed it in, the signal caught, and my phone connected to a network built on principles dreamed up by a 5-year-old girl who took apart her music box and never really stopped. Thanks for spending this time with her story and with me. I'll see you next week.